Welcome to the Grassroots Army podcast. This platform is for common sense people looking for up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information without the hot garbage corporate media bias. The power of one can lead to the power of many. You never know what small act that you may say or do that may literally change the lives of millions tomorrow. And don't you ever think that you can't make a difference, because you can. Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Welcome to the Grassroots Army podcast. I am, of course, your host, Garrett Soldano. And holy cow, did anyone else have on their bingo card? Because I know that I didn't. To not only have the possible assassination attempt of President Trump, but then Biden resigns all within a week. I mean, we all knew those were possible situations, but all within a week. Holy cow, is our politics a dumpster fire, or what we can call a clown show? It truly is. Okay. So we're going to see how all of this evolves, because obviously the Democratic Party was successful in their own coup. They really were. So it's going to be interesting to see the corporate media get behind whatever candidate they pick. All right. So we heard rumors of Kamala Harris. Now that, Hillary Clinton's in the mix, Michelle Obama's still in the mix. Who's going to be the VP? You got Gavin Newsom, Governor Whitmer. You have all these people, right? So who knows what's going on behind the scenes? But I do know this. He addresses the nation with a statement. Don't you think the people, deserve to see their president? He's not my president, but the president of the United States, to come on and do a press conference. I think the American people deserve that, but we all know the weekend at Bernie's president that we currently have, his mental decline continues to go south. So I don't know if it's the cold in the basement, who knows, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty electrifying all this week. So we have a lot of narratives to call out. So we're going to share a video here in a second of several minutes of the Democratic Party lecturing the American people on how Donald Trump and the Republican Party are threats to democracy. Remember hearing that narrative 24/7 over the past several years? But yesterday, they were successful in pulling off their own coup, disregarding the voices of millions of their own voters. Do as I say, not as I do. Pot, meat, kettle. Rules for thee, not for me. We can go on and on. This is your Democratic Party, folks. And for all of you in the middle, you are starting to see what this party is willing to do to keep power. And for all of you old school Democrats out there, the old JFKs of the world, you understand that your party's dead. Your old party is completely gone. Y'all are just moderate Republicans. You just haven't admitted it yet. So understand and know. So I want to just show you the crowd footage of President Trump and at his rally. So let's analyze this. I've been doing videos on this all weekend, right? Doing comparisons of President Biden's crowd and Trump's crowd. There is no comparison. Kamala Harris's crowd is going to be non-existent compared to President Trump's. But let's break this down, because the left loves when I put this into their face. Last week, or over a week now, President Trump got shot in the face, right? Got shot in the face. Several days later, he comes to the Republican National Convention, shows his face, gets on, does a speech where Hulk Hogan rips off his shirt. Kid Rock drops the mic with a song. Dana White introduces him, among all the other great speeches that was given, especially his 17-year-old granddaughter, which was her first speech, which was fantastic, right? To show that side of him. Just a success of the Republican convention. Then he travels to Michigan, him and J.D. Vance, for the first rally since not only getting J.D. Vance as his VP, but the shooting, and it sells out. There was 10 to 12,000 people there. I'm going to show the footage. And then I think there was thousands more outside, right? And where was the weekend at Bernie's president? He was in the basement with a cold with his 17 boosters, right? So he's no longer running. So moving on, and I got some footage of Kamala Harris. There's tons of footage of Kamala Harris. I mean, I have more content than I know what to do with. But let's just show you the energy of this crowd. Unbelievable.
Come on out, sir.
just electrifying. He gets up there and gives like a 2-hour speech. I mean, the crowd was standing for the majority of the time, but that guy was standing. And for somebody who ran for governor and to go around and speak and give speeches in front of crowds, it is a tear on your body. And for this guy just to continue to do what he's doing, I mean, he is the Energizer Bunny on coffee, man. He really is. He just keeps going. And the best thing that I love, and I could show all the footage on there, I just don't have time today, but you just saw like him, making fun of his own comb over, which was hilarious. I mean, he was comedy up on stage. It was just a really, really great rally. It truly was. And so we're going to see what the Democratic Party does this week. They are the gift that keeps on giving. That's for sure with content. So I will continue to expose everything that I can do for all of you to be aware. And I'm going to continue because I have hours upon hours of footage of Governor Whitmer because we've been fighting against her ever since April 9th of 2020. So I will continue to highlight her on everything that I do because that woman has been a disaster. That woman from Michigan has been a complete disaster for Michigan. She would be even worse if she was in the White House. So I will continue to remind the American people what she has done and what she continues to do in the state of Michigan. Because like I said, I have hours upon hours of footage of her. I'll show a little bit of it today, but I want to get to the several minutes of the Democratic Party lecturing all of us, the American people, on how Donald Trump and the the Republican Party are threats to democracy. Watch this.
Everything is on the ballot. Democracy will be on the ballot, as evidenced by the position that many of the election deniers on the other side of the aisle continue to hold.
Trump is an existential, urgent threat to our democracy.
I'll continue to speak out strongly for our democracy.
Let's get out there because we can't lose this democracy. We can't.
When Donald Trump won the election in 2016, fair and square, he said it was rigged. He won the Republican primaries. He said they were rigged. He ran for re-election in 2020. Before the election, he said it was rigged. Then when he lost the election, he said it was rigged. He does not like elections. He does not like voting as a system by which we decide who's going to be the president.
Yeah. You can't go a day without thinking about what he's done to this country because he's such a little baby that he's thrown 250 years of democracy out the window.
An assault on our Constitution the day we were supposed to approve and we did, the work of the Electoral College, the results of the Electoral College, the assault on the Capitol building, the assault on the Constitution, the assault on our democracy, an interference in our democracy by Vladimir Putin because Hillary Clinton was the person he feared most in terms of his lack of democracy. Because Donald Trump is such an authoritarian, an autocrat, we have to win this election. This is not a normal election where you want to win. If you don't, you cooperate and do the best you can for the country and hope to win the next time. This is something that is undermining our democracy, and he must be stopped.
Donald Trump is being held to account by the very multicultural, multiracial democracy that he's trying to dismantle. And for me, there's something poetic and actually wonderful about that. It says something good about our country that we're still capable of having that happen. Go DEI. My DEIs are bringing it home on today.
A fully Christian nationalist Republican Party in control of both houses of Congress and the current Supreme Court majority? Well, Katie, bar the door and unleash the devil because we would be finished as a democracy.
The president thinks that there is an extremist threat to our democracy.
We believe that they pose an existential threat to democracy, and over the last 4 years, that threat to democracy has only grown.
The way that he sees is the MAGA Republicans are the most energized part of the Republican Party. This is an extreme threat to our democracy, to our freedom.
So ultimately, it will be up to the American voters to save our democracy in November.
We talk about democracy, American democracy. We often talk about the ideals of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
At every step of the way, Republicans have rejected bipartisanship and embraced extremism. Jim Jordan is a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Are you worried that Putin could be attempting, and the Kremlin could be attempting to intervene in our election in 2024? And should we all be spending more time talking about that?
I am very concerned about it. It wouldn't be the first time that Russia's intervened in our election.
No.
It wouldn't be the first time they've done it to try to help elect Donald Trump.
And so he's trying to get rid of the American system of government. And that means getting rid of a government that does anything other than serve him. And that's what Project 2025 is all about. Yeah. And that exists everywhere in the world. And it has never existed here before. And so I really think the bottom line here is that Trump and his movement, they are not running against Democrats. They're running against democracy. Yeah. They're running against the democratic process. They want to radically change the kind of system that we have, the government that we have.
These people are literally insane. And the funny part is the people who are nonstop plugged into CNN is they just blindly follow the different narratives that they push. I mean, they obviously, everything that you listen to right there, I mean, I have hours. I mean, there's so much content right now, but literally they are saying that we were the threat to democracy, right? The Republicans, Donald Trump, and our republic were the threat. They just pulled off a successful coup to a sitting president. So the very party that was preaching this literally just bypassed their own voters. And they're going to do it again at convention because their convention is a clown show. Okay. So now you watch, and I don't know if this has already happened, but you watch. The media is going to try to get behind cackling Kamala Harris. They are. And they're going to try to start pushing this narrative that all the video footage, and there's probably thousands of hours. I have hundreds of hours personally. I'm going to show you one small clip today for time constraints. But they're probably going to say all the thousands of hours of footage that we all have and been exposed to and have watched over the past several years, that they're all Republican cheap fakes. Those aren't real. Just like they tried to tell us that Biden's mental decline and all the video footage that we had there were all cheap fakes. And then George Clooney came out and said, no, well, I was there at the fundraiser. Yeah, we were pretty concerned about his mental decline, right? Then they kind of went crickets. But you watch, that's how evil the corporate media is. Okay, so I'm going to show you a clip where there's no editing, none at all. I just going to put and give you 38 seconds. This video alone is, in my humble opinion, absolutely catastrophic for the Kamala Harris campaign. Watch what she has to say. Listen in. You're going to enjoy this.
Put a button.
Okay.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making. I'm not discounting the importance of the border.
I mean, there's so much footage. It's so much footage. But right there, the borders are like, look what they did. Allowed tens, I don't know how many, 18, 19 million people over, right? And she was supposedly in charge of the border, which she was not. So we'll continue just to expose her along with anyone else that the Democrats are going to nominate. I'll stay ahead of the game as much as I can. So I'm just going to give you a little video from our campaign from when I was running several years ago on some of the footage of Governor Whitmer, just to stay ahead of the narrative in case this woman and her campaign has their eye on the White House, even as VP. So listen in. If she would have opened up at the end of November and got things back to normal, because there is no reason why she couldn't, because there are states that were fully open. If she would have opened up, I truly believe that she would not have been beaten. I don't think there's anybody that could have beat her because everybody kind of bought into her narrative. Then she brought the hammer down on the restaurants again. You try to run your business saying, hey, only 25%. Oh, then we're going to up it to 50%. Well, thank you. Oh, now we're 75%. We have to be over that to even make a profit, to pay the employees, to put the lights on, all that stuff. So it was a smack in the face to business owners. So much, in fact, that over 6,000 restaurants have closed their doors permanently. These are people's livelihoods, people's dreams, their hopes squashed over a political narrative. Then she brought the hammer down to the school children, closed up schools again, took away high school athletics. Then she told us that we shouldn't celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas with our mom and dad and our grandparents because we want grandma and grandpa to be alive next year, right? So she canceled the holidays. 3 weeks later, she went to the inauguration with her 2 kids. Going around the state and you meet people and you hear people's stories of stuff that you don't see on corporate media, right? People tell us how their businesses went out, their kids are suffering suicides, family members, not being able to say goodbye to their grandparents or their loved ones. All those bricks, man. And so that's why I won't quit. We have to understand and have faith in God that He put us in this moment for a reason. And so we have to be strong. Always darkest right before sunrise. And it's dark, but it's going to get better. I won't quit. I mean, you watch that footage, it still just brings back tons of memories of what we all been through during the pandemic and the lockdowns and our school children. I mean, they just hammered us here in the state of Michigan. So I will continue to stand up for my Creator. I will continue to stand up for my family. I'll continue to stand up for all of you. But most importantly, I will continue to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves, and that is the children. Okay. Moving on to a couple more things. I have a great guest that is coming on the show. As you guys have been following me over the past several weeks, I've been highlighting constitutional sheriffs and how important they are, especially in the local elections that we have. And so I am honored to have the founder of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Associations, the CSPOA, and that is Sheriff Richard Mack. So look him up. It is going to be fantastic. We're going to talk about a lot of things, not only with what's going on in our government. I'm sure January 6th is going to get brought up. We're going to go through a lot. So he's coming on the show this Thursday live at 7 p.m. So if you want to tune into that, that's going to be a fantastic show. I'll obviously upload the footage after I am done to all other platforms, cut up that show and post it for the next several weeks, that's for sure. So I am extremely, humbled and honored to have Sheriff Richard Mack on the show this Thursday. So tune in at 7 p.m. live. If you're watching here, this is where you can watch it. Okay. And the last thing we're going to do, the merch store, the grassrootsarmy.com merch store is open for business indefinitely. So we have a great lineup of merch that we're going to be selling. So you can go to the grassrootsarmy.com and support us and be a part of this movement that we have created that's been going strong now for several years. Ever since April 9th, 2020, we have been standing up against the unconstitutional lockdowns, the mandates, getting our kids back to school, all the clown show and dumpster fire that our country has become with biological men competing in women's sports, biological boys using locker rooms and restrooms, fighting back against these school boards, these woke school boards. I mean, the list goes on. And you guys have all been with me for many years now. And we have been fighting nonstop, but we are just getting started. Just like I said in that video, it's always darkest right before sunrise. We have a Grassroots Army tour that is going to be heading up to the UP. Upers, I love you. We're coming to your city, baby. So August 30th and 31st, we're going to be heading up to Iron Mountain in Houghton, and you will be seeing us there. I think Kevin Rinke is going to be joining us, which is fantastic. And we're going to try to get a few other people to join us for that tour. I have a Lincoln Day dinner that's coming up in Newaygo County here in a couple weeks. So you guys are all going to get a lot of footage of everything that's going on here in our beloved state. And so if you'd like me to speak at one of your events, just get a hold of us, message us. You can go to the grassrootsarmy.com and email us there. If you want me to come speak at one of your events, if my time permits, I'm going to be pretty active. My butt is going to be on fire until President Trump wins in November, and we win up and down the ticket, folks. That's what you have to remember. We have to win up and down the ticket, okay? Every single level of office, school board, cities, state, everywhere we have to win. Okay, so I will continue to do my part and bring you up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information as we blaze a trail so wide, so big, so full of hope that everyone that doubted us, hated on us, will be so big that they'll have to humbly follow. Until next time, God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan, of course, and always God bless these United States. Until next time.